The next process that we are going to cover after we finished implementing risk responses, now it's the time to conduct the procurement. Procurement is a critical aspect of project execution, involving the acquisition of goods and services to meet the project needs. Procurement ensures the project has necessary goods and services, ensuring the alignment with the project objectives and the procurement plan. Effective procurement management enhances the project efficiency. And the key tools and techniques that we are going to use here as part of when we are conducting the procurement part of the execution phase, the key inputs, that as the PMP plan, the project documents, the procurement documentation, where you have, let's say, documented all of the necessary equipments or goods that you're planning to procure. Part from the planning phase, you have the seller proposals or the RFPs, the other, let's say, procurement documentations, the RFI, the RFP. We already have covered that on the planning phase. The tools and techniques you have is advertising, the better conferences, the data analysis. The outputs here would be selecting the seller, the agreements or contracts, the change request if needed, the PMP updates, the project documents updates, the OPE updates. So to start first with understanding the key steps involved in procurement execution. So key steps in procurement execution start with identifying what the project requires or a procurement needs, followed by preparing an RFP or request for proposal. And then you issue that RFP. Based on that, you get these responses from the potential sellers who, for example, have a solution or have, let's say, the goods and services that you are trying to procure. Then you invite these bidders for a conference by inviting the bids from the vendors, and then you, for example, explain all of these requirements, all of these goods and services, and once you reach with an agreement with them, you select a supplier through an selective evaluation criteria. And here, for example, let's say in an IT project, the team might issue an RFP or request for proposal for cloud service provider, and then evaluates the bids based on the cost, reliability, and scalability. Based on that, they select the supplier. How to manage contracts and suppliers. So, contracts are the backbone of procurement, specifying the deliverables, timelines, and penalties for non compliance. And managing the suppliers effectively can prevent issues such as late deliveries or non compliance with agreements. So, to manage the contracts and suppliers effectively ensures that you have a well defined terms, responsibilities, and expectation within your contracts. Also, focus on building a good relationships with the suppliers that will enhance and impact the project outcomes in a positive way. Ensure conducting a regular performance review to ensure the contract adherence. Alignment with the procurement plan. So, the procurement activities must align with the broader project management plan. Procurement must support the project objectives, so you are procuring these goods and services that aligns with project objectives. Avoid also the scope creep through the clear requirements. So when you, let's say, discuss the requirements with the supplier or the potential vendors, ensure that you address your requirements in a very clear way, so to avoid the confusion and to avoid the misunderstanding between you and the vendors. So if the vendors or the supplier have understood the requirements on a different way, not having a clear requirements, they might not deliver the solution intended by your project. Also ensure the alignment of the timeline and budget with the procurement activities. Monitoring procurement performance involves tracking supplier delivery, timeline, cost compliance, and quality. So ensure to have a regular assessment to supplier performance against, for example, the KPIs. And these KPIs can, for example, include the delivery timeline, the let's say the feature implementation timeline. It depends on the project nature itself, but ensure that you put these KPI against the baselines in terms of cost, schedule, and quality, as well as the scope. The scope here might involve, for example, the number of features that the supplier has been asked to implement against the baseline of the requirements that you have or the number of features. Use the dashboards and reports for real-time monitoring and to enhance the, let's say, real-time decision making. Also address issues proactively to avoid any escalation. Effective tools for procurement management. So modern procurement tools streamline the processes by providing end-to-end visibility. Using software like SAP, Ariba, or Oracle Procurement Cloud, and maintaining a centralized database of contract and suppliers, you may also automate the routine procurement tasks for efficiency. Automation reduces the manual errors and enhances the efficiency. The common challenges that you might face when executing the procurement strategy. Procurement execution often faces challenges such as supplier non-compliance or delivery delays. Um, and sometimes these suppliers, they don't comply with whatever contract were, let's say, agreed between you and the vendors or the suppliers. So ensure that you keep having regular monitoring on all of these deliverables against the contract. Some of these challenges that also delay in delivery, which might impact the project schedules. And also, you will be, for example, in case that you extended the project, that will have a cost overruns as well. So ensure that you track that in a more effective way to avoid impacting your project schedules and costs. Also, quality. Budget overruns due to poor cost management. These are the common challenges that you might face when dealing with procurement execution. So ensure that you address these challenges or these issues through penalties, and look also for an alternative suppliers or contingency plan is essential. Let's look at a real world example here in the procurement management. In a large bridge construction project, pre-qualifying vendors ensures only reliable suppliers were selected. Milestone-based contract tied the payments to successful delivery stages, reducing the financial risks and ensuring material availability at critical phases. And the outcome here would be is time delivery of materials and reduced risks and meeting the project requirements. Here are the best practices when executing the procurement strategy. So adopting best practices such as maintaining strong supplier relationships and clear communication ensures the procurement efficiency. So think of building a strong relationship with the reliable suppliers because it's going to be, let's say, in case if it's a long relationship or a long contract, you need to maintain that relationship with the suppliers to ensure that you have alignment with your project goals. In case if there's any challenges, the suppliers will let you know about it, and then you bring a solution with the suppliers who own the solution, for example. A regular review and update the procurement plan once needed. In case that you have a new requirements or a new goods and services that you're looking to procure, ensure that you keep your procurement plans updated to avoid any let's say, confusion with the suppliers about the scope of the project, as well as the clear communication of expectations. So when you work with the suppliers or vendors, having a clear communication and clear expectation from the project, it avoid the misunderstandings and it sets a realistic expectation from that contract and from that relationship with the vendors. To summarize our session on conducting procurement as part of the execution phase, we say that procurement management and execution is vital for project success. From issuing the RFPs to monitor the supplier performance, to select these, let's say, bidders based on their, let's say, success criteria or an evaluation criteria. So each of these steps ensures that the project needs are met efficiently. Also, we talked about monitoring and adapting ensures the procurement success plans. An effective contract and supplier management is crucial to maintain a good relationship with the suppliers.